Mm. What's up, Internet? I'm Aries Van Dam. Sorry for the late start today. I was up all night talking to crazy women. So, today I'm going to be looking at Andrew Wilson again. But today he's not going to be beating up on any girls. He's going to be crushing Destiny spirits and making his butthole hurt. I've got 2 videos. I'm going to try and get links for them in the comments. Couldn't get it in the descriptions when I was putting it out, so I'll add that in the comments. But oh, happy Thanksgiving. I forgot it was Thanksgiving week. I was trying to make plans for Thursday. I didn't even know that was Thanksgiving Day. How sad is that? But let's remove this. Oh, remove that. Thursday. Here we go. Let me get this shit off the screen. I'm not. You see Happy Thanksgiving, you know. Happy Thanksgiving. Get shit out of here. All right. And let me get the music off too. There we go. Let's. Uh-oh. What was that? Here we go.
Guys, real quick, I want to also let sorry, what's her name? The girl in the middle?
Lana.
That's weird.
Lana. Okay, I want to let Andrew answer Lana's question before we move on.
What would be an alternative to Me Too?
So I would try to move towards a patriarchal system where women were slowly phased out of the workplace altogether, and then that solves this problem.
Okay, I
How would
disagree.
we survive and live?
The same way that we survived and lived for most of our history, which is
Yeah, but
without
that
women
didn't work
inside the
because men would
workforce.
abandon their homes to go to other women. What the first divorce case was because the guy ditched his wife and his kids and went to be with another woman.
Which happened.
Oh, one person divorced his wife because she was awful? Huh. Well, I guess we can't do that anymore. That's how these women think.
Has what to do with anything?
I'm a widow. Yeah. I mean, like, what would I do?
What does it have to do with anything?
It has to do with everything.
And what does it have to do with it?
Survive? How will they survive?
The same way that they've always survived without women in the workforce. There was not a problem with the survival before women were in the workforce. It won't be a problem with survival post. Women are enabled to be in the workforce only through the usage of technology. If you look at the math.
Wait, don't do this diatribe. Answer the question. How would a woman, let's say a woman gets widowed, how does she survive?
She would probably remarry. But not only that, the assets of the husband always have traditionally gone to the woman. Not only that, there's usually an obligation from the family of the person you were widowed from who's going to help you out.
The man was doing everything right. Like the man was just working hard.
we can't assess all of society just based on what if risks of what if a meteorite strikes you. That's not fair. And I'm sorry. Hang on, let me finish, lady. I'm sorry that a fucking meteorite might strike your husband and he might die, but we're not going to make a societal prescription based on that. That would be insanity. So yes, there's going to be some unfairness baked in, but we can't unfortunately alleviate all unfairness from every situation over all times. We can't do that.
Isn't it common right now that like the average savings rate is like negative for like people under 35? So basically every widow under the age of like 35 or 40 is just fucked?
First of all, they're not fucked. If you were to reduce the women's participation in the workforce, you would see a massive increase in salary, more than likely for men. That follows, in fact.
No, it doesn't follow.
How does it not?
That is
it doesn't follow because the number one indicator of like.
Destiny's issue is he thinks he's smarter than he is. Andrew is 100% right here. That's just common. I'm brain farting, but that's a very common principle in Jesus, why I can't think of that word. Economy. Yeah, in economy class they teach you that. Yeah, it's supply and demand. If you have more workers, then you can pay them less because you have so many. If you have quite a few workers and you're really desperate to get people to show up to work, you got to pay them more because you want them to show there, right? That's a very simple like principle here, and Destiny is purposely trying not to understand it. I think.
Countries becoming prosperous and successful is women entering the workforce and starting to own businesses. That's like one of the biggest indicators of it.
Destiny,
talking
you're
about perfect
you're
higher
familiar
trillion
you're familiar with
dollars.
supply and demand, right? If you have
Yep.
less workers, do you have more of a supply of workers or less of a
You
supply?
understand that when you go
Answer
to
my
high
question
school,
like I just answered yours.
No, I'll answer your question.
Then just say
the
yes.
Supply and demand X graph is an incredibly crude and simplistic way to analyze markets. Yes, of course, if you remove all the women from the workforce, the men will get higher wages.
Then why the
However,
fuck did you just
This is the same way of thinking where you'll say, yeah, well, yes, introducing unaliving children into our society and allowing that to be something we do, they would act like that doesn't have anything to do with the dwindling reproduction rates we have now. They'll act like they're not related somehow. Yeah, if you're unaliving half of the children that would be born, the rates are going to go down. They try and conflate these two and act like they don't see this really simple thing to see here. It's really obvious if you have population rates going up, and all of a sudden they start going down right when they start letting you unalive half the children. They might be related. They geez.
just argue they wouldn't?
What?
Why did you just argue they wouldn't?
Because every single economist in the world agrees with me and not you, Andrew.
They
So
agrees.
None of them do. Not a single economist would agree with them that men's pay rates wouldn't go up if women came out of the workforce. None. Not one.
With you about what? You just agreed with
that
me.
if women start to own businesses and enter the workforce.
You,
one of the
bro,
higher
you
predictors.
just agreed with me and my position that if all women were exited from the workforce tomorrow, salaries for men would skyrocket. You literally just agreed with that.
Trillion
Well,
less
salaries-
dollars
yeah,
in our economy.
Salaries might increase,
Mhm.
Andrew. Do you think murdering half the
All right, there. Just said they would increase.
U.S. population would be good for the economy because now you've got
That's a
half the
red.
workforce?
So hang on. So phasing women out for
Yeah, he thinks that means you just take them all back and put a bullet in their head or something. I don't know how he got that. They're still alive. They're still here. They'll just be at home taking care of children or working like lady jobs, like nursing or school teachers, stuff like that. We still let them do those things, I'm sure. Even Andrew's not going to say they're not going to work jobs they've typically always worked. He's saying not to have drives to make them be cops when they shouldn't be cops, not to have drives to get them into STEM fields when they're not capable of doing STEM level work.
one thing. There's a massive distinction between that and murdering half the population. But assuming that we granted your hypothetical and half the population was somehow murdered, salaries would still increase for the half that were here. Yes, Destiny.
No,
It-
that's just not how it works.
Yes, then why did you just get done saying that that's how it works?
No, I didn't get done saying. You're using a high school supply demand
He
graph
did just
to
say it.
analyze an entire worker economy. Workers are a supply in the economy. Generally, for an economy, you increase your supplies,
All Andrew said is that men's pay rates would go up if women left the workforce. And Destiny said no. And then 5 minutes later, Destiny says, yes, men's pay rates would go up if women left the. And then he just comes back and says, no, he didn't say that. Like I can backtrack the video. He just said that, and I stopped it then and said, see, he did say that. Now watch.
increase the standards of living, you increase the GDP, you increase wages across the board. Here's a question, Andrew. If we
So you
look-
just
if we
agreed
look-
with me again.
No, I didn't.
You
agree with
did.
you, Andrew. I agree with you that the very crude supply-demand graph might seem to support what you're saying, but there's a
Uh-huh.
whole bunch of reasons why a crude supply and demand graph would never explain in something entirely like wage market.
He wants to explain how having more money is bad for you now. How it's just not as good as if you had less money. What are you going to explain? What context do you put there? If my paycheck is bigger than it was before, then I'm making more money. No context needed.
For an entire society. That's absurd.
You just listen. You've agreed with me in every way
Destiny's taking a more money, more problems argument here.
you possibly can. You just keep deferring to, but there's other complexities which might come in. Okay, fair enough. There might be some other complexities that come in, but men's salaries, if women exited the workforce tomorrow, would increase drastically. There's no way around that.
And then they would decrease. Yes, your consumer base would fall, your overall level of wealth would
Yeah.
fall, your overall, like everything.
Why would your consumer base fall?
Yeah. He thinks they're just getting rid of women. If you don't work, then you're not part of this. You don't exist anymore. No one has said they don't exist. No one. They're more trans people, women and trans women Both exist. You can touch them. They have corporeal form.
The workforce has brought so much money to the economy when you compare it to like if women were never those changes never happened. So the economy has 100% been benefited by women entering the workforce.
Why?
Hold on. No, wait. This isn't even up for debate. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's not.
Where are
It's
all of these?
not.
I'm sorry. Answer this. Where are all of these hyper competitive?
He is getting big mad, huh? It sounds like this is something personal to him. Like he gets so worked up. That's why they call him the Coomer Gremlin, because he's a Coomer and he's like freaks out and starts talking all fast, like he's in some kind of like he's talking in tongues or something. It's wow. Like I don't really do it too bad in this one. I don't think the next one may be worse.
Countries that don't let
I think the next one's the one where he threatens to quit. If you don't stop talking, I'm gonna leave.
women in the workforce because they want to be more competitive on the world stage. Can you name like one?
You mean nations which are in the West, they're all egalitarian, and so they've all pushed for this. However, we can, yeah, and I'm answering your question.
You're not.
We can look at the markers before women entered in the workplace, and we were very prosperous.
First of all,
No,
no,
I
we're
think
not.
that's
No,
Yes,
we
we were.
can
We
look
were
at-
very
I'm asking
prosperous.
you, where are the countries that are out competing everybody else because they're like, we're not going to let our women enter the workforce because it's better for our country? Give me one.
But so, for
Okay,
instance, like,
again,
China would-
you're
Wait,
making
Lauren,
you're
let's
making.
let Andrew answer, and then
Yeah.
we'll go to you.
Listen, there's a distinction to be made here. That
You're not
even
gonna
if
answer.
I
You don't have an
can't,
answer. No.
You don't have an answer. He just said there are none. So if he says there are none, that means he can't give you one because they all have egalitarian values. He's telling you no. Name one. No, I can't. You're not answering the question. How does that make sense? He's answering it. I can't because there's not one, because we all have egalitarian values. They all follow us. So they took ours and copied us, and now we're all stuck this way. But he can go back to a time before that took over, and you can see how successful we were. You can just look at that. That'll tell you right there. So we would be very successful. We bring women in. Now we can't reproduce. Is it hard to figure out? Women are trying to work that think they're men. Get them back to being women.
You're rambling.
so I'm
Where's
telling
one
you,
at?
I'm
What was
telling
your
you the
answer?
truth.
You're not-
Right
you
now,
have
in
no answer.
current,
You're-
right now, currently, in existence in the West, no, I couldn't point to one because of egalitarianism. But I can still use the historic marker to show that those same nations, before women entered the workforce in mass, were quite prosperous.
Sorry.
I think it's like
Doesn't
a
answer his
decent
question
point.
still.
That
How did
Didn't answer his question. He just said there are none. Show me an example of this society. Okay, there are none, so I can't show you one. You're not answering the question. He is answering it. He's telling you the answer you don't like, but he is answering your question. Like, what are these dumbasses not? These are debaters, professional debaters. And they'll say he didn't answer the question because they didn't like what he said. You can't give an answer to something that doesn't exist. You want to make something up? How does that work in a debate? Should I just make up words? Like I'm telling you what you want to hear, but you're too dumb to understand that I'm actually giving you the answer with a caveat that I can't because they all copied us.
did that not answer your question?
Because he asked you for an example of a country today that exists.
All
today.
West.
How is saying I can't give you one not answering the question? Please answer that. If I say I can't give you one, am I forced to? Do I have to make something up? If that is answering the question. If you ask me, can you tell me why you did this? And I say, I can't tell you. I don't know why I did it. Okay, I'm answering you. It's not a good answer, but it is. I mean, Andrews is a good answer because it's truthful. There isn't one. I can't make one up. That's your answer. You want me to create one? Kekistan, then. There you go.
Western nations were prosperous
trying to
even
compare,
before
like-
women entered the
Let's go
workforce.
back in
All of
time.
them.
You're giving me the argument that like women entering the workforce is like I don't know, has made it so reality TV has appeared. You're just correlating two things that aren't necessarily related.
Yeah, well, they are related. That's why we got reality TV too,
The way
probably.
that you would study this in econ is you wouldn't go, what was it like 500 years ago? And now let's compare it today. You would compare one country to other countries.
In
And you would say,
econ,
All econ does is compare, compare a time when things were this way to a time when things were this way to see which way is better. That's so you're trying. I don't think he understands what econ is, and he thinks they all agree with him for some reason. Like they don't. No economist really thinks about supply and demand. That's a fictitious thing we made up. What the fuck?
you wouldn't look at the historic standards? I think you would.
no, you would never look. No, you don't look at that.
Never.
You don't look at historic standards?
No. Open the NBR. Open any econ study ever. You don't say like, oh well, 50 years ago, what was it like? Let's see how this. Like, for instance, when you do minimum wage experiments, you go state by state. You pick placebo cities.
So when
You
a
compare-
kid
State by state over what? over time. That's how you do a study. You could otherwise it would just be like a snapshot of what things are right now. You have to compare over time. That's what this whole that's all I thought economy was. You compare like the way things were to the way things are and try to get things better and figure out the best way from like what does he not get?
Keynesian. So when a Keynesian economist,
He doesn't know what Keynesian is, and he's about to show that.
sorry,
I
goes
don't know
to
what
the,
you mean
goes
by
it,
Keynesian
if a
economics, bro. I don't
Keynesian,
have the
if
political.
All the economists believe me, but I don't know what a Keynesian economist is. Yeah, they all agree with you, but you don't know who they are.
Keynesian, hang on, stop. Whatever economist you want, but I'll just say Keynesian. If a Keynesian economist goes in and to a government position and he wants to offer economic solutions, wouldn't he appeal to Keynes and Keynes markets and solutions and those markets?
This is just to show you that Andrew knows quite a bit more about economy than fucking Destiny. But Destiny can't just admit, hey, look, you know more than me. Okay, maybe can't do it because he's got a female brain, right? He may be the case study for transgenderism because he may have a female brain. That's the only thing that makes sense why he would pick a stripper name. I think he thinks he's a
Solutions are
pretty
gonna
girl.
be based on those standards from that. What do you mean?
No, you don't go up to a guy and you go, "Hey, what about Keynes? Hey, what about the 1950s?"
You do.
No, you. Okay.
For
Well, first of all,
economics, of course you do.
No, you don't.
I'll even
No,
grant
you
you
don't.
that. But they would highlight.
Look, the other guy's like, I'll even grant you that. So what is Destiny arguing about? If you're granting it, like, are y'all arguing? Why don't y'all argue this out and then I'll take on the loser? How's that? Or the winner? Whatever.
Examples of, hey, this country implemented Keynesian economics or economic policies, and this is how it played out.
No, we don't use a historic standard, remember? Destiny just said you don't ever look at a historic standard when it comes to the economies.
I think he's confused because a lot of times it is like closer in time periods. Like they'll compare like last summer's Q3 to this year's Q4 or Q2 or whatever. You know, they compare, but that's all it is a comparison. They do that constantly. And those are over time. You can compare because you can't do anything else. There aren't any more to compare it to. So if there's no societies in the West that do what we're talking about, how would I show you an example of it? How do we know if it works better or not? Just because everyone chooses to do things the wrong way doesn't make it the right way now.
That is the dumbest single thing I have ever heard in my life, by the way.
He says that a lot. He's on whatever. So he sees a lot of dumb shit from them ladies. So I don't know if that's true, but this is a dumb thing that Destiny just doesn't understand.
I have never heard anything that stupid in my life. Now, I want to ask you, Corey, do you think that it's unwise to look at historic standards when you're making economic policy, Corey?
Across the board, universally, no, there are some lessons to be learned from history, but to Gary's point, like making economic policy today, generally speaking, is driven by data generated today and looking at other policies.
Yes, but you're still looking at a historic standard and you're comparing the data. That way you know which is good and which is bad policy.
Can you give me an example?
How can you make a policy for the future
piece of econ research that's looking back to the 1950s for modern day insight into how we should be doing government policy?
Oh yeah, well that's done all the time.
He's acting like Andrew was trying to say this. No, you asked him. You specifically asked him. He's not trying to tell you that's the way to do it. He's just telling you this. You asked for an example. He could show you that as an example. That's the only thing to compare it to. They keep expecting him to pull out this magical utopia in his mind that's existed for hundreds of years and they all live in peace and give him that example. Like it doesn't exist because people are stupid. We do stupid things. We let women vote.
Of course.
Of course. You should be able to name one time. It's done.
Well, I can send over tons of data that goes over 100 years of economic policy. I just did. Keynesian economics, Austrian economics.
That's not a policy. That's not anything.
No, hang on. The Keynesian economics is our current policy, Destiny.
You're fucked. Oh God.
And he doesn't know that, but he's wanting to argue. Like I'm not I don't know economy that much. I slept in that class. I'm not the best at it, but I know enough to know this guy knows a lot more than me. I wouldn't argue with him, not in front of a bunch of people. That's a recipe for disaster right there. You're arguing with someone who knows words you don't even know what they mean, and you're still trying to argue that he's wrong about the words you didn't even know existed. See why I think Destiny has a lady brain? You see why? That's lady behavior. I'm telling you, we need to study this man. Destiny needs to be studied. I think he may be the best evidence for being a female brain because that's what he's got.
getting baited by
or a broken one. I don't know.
this. I'm sorry.
I'm not a doctor.
What their gender is.
Okay, so
It's as simple as that.
from
And one of the marker of masculinities is a larger body.
California. You can pull this up because it'd be easier for me than sending it. But California State University, Fullerton.
I'll pull it up.
There was no nuance in their results at all. Out of 0 out of 160 women surveyed showed a statistical preference for weaker men. 0 out of 160 surveyed.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, hold on.
Doesn't do anything.
Why do you? But I mean,
Okay,
why
hold on,
would
wait,
you
wait,
think
wait.
that would be? What do you think their answers were?
Sorry. None of this has anything. I'm fully granting that women tend to be attracted to markers of masculinity. What I'm doing is rejecting your weird psychoanalytic narrative that the reason that they're specifically attracted to his physical size is because there's a sneaky part of them that's being like, oh, god damn, I'm really excited for when he dominates me.
But
And
what-
that, especially globally, right?
Mhm.
'Cause what Grace is
Do you hear that? How she just asserted all this shit in her head, that the way these things sounded to her made her think this, and now that's how she thinks that this is what he's talking about. That's the conflation women do all the time. They'll hear a word and they don't like the way that word sounds to them. And it could be a bad word, like you're trying to give a little meaning, where you're like unable, or like you say you're unable to do this or whatever, or it could be something really subtle, like some women freak out if you say the word moist. Like that bothers them.
Moist.
Like that word fucking really, it bothers some women. And I don't understand why. There's a bunch of words like that. The the really, really bad word, cunt, I think that's one that bothers them. There's a bunch of them, but it's just like in a lady brain, it just kind of triggers it. Isn't that funny?
saying.
Well, she didn't just say that. She also said it's because of markers of protection and being able to protect you and all that stuff.
Hold on. What she's saying is that because there's a sexual desire to be dominated in women, which is common, and I've already granted that generalizes to all parts of women's life, and it implies that in like the day-to-day interaction.
So obviously,
Let's
you're
definitely
basically-
get rewarded. Justin hasn't talked in like 20 minutes.
if you want to be dominated by somebody sexually, you also want to be dominated by them in your life.
That's
clearly
ridiculous.
obvious.
No, that might be your experience, but that is not the average experience.
If that's your relationship with a man sexually, it would also be your relationship with him outside of the bedroom as
Yeah,
well.
no, I don't know. That's where I got to
Absolutely
delineate.
not true.
That's where I have to
hold on,
delineate
wait,
too.
Alex,
Isn't it common right now though that like the average savings rate is like negative for like
Let me pause it here because I've got a better video that I'm going to show y'all for that debate. I think this one cuts off kind of early. So I'm going to go to Cool Vic, one of the guys that I follow, and he comes in and raids me and stuff. This is a Cool Vic one. This is back before
what
he
do
did a lot of
Muslims do that's
commentary, though.
sinful? What do Jewish people do that?
So I'm going to go with this one because it is a little longer form and he doesn't do a lot of commentary. This is before he started doing a lot of that. So let's get back to it.
Sinful. We've never done that before. We're concerned with what are sins in our society, the Christian church, the Catholic Church specifically. What does the Catechism say? What does your
Yeah.
preacher say?
Okay,
And
that's
then where
great,
it
but
starts
repeat
from.
my
So the
argument
question- hold on,
back
hold on,
to
hold
me.
on. Let me hold on.
You're arguing against a straw man.
No. You've traveled like 20,000 different.
I haven't
fingers.
traveled anywhere. Repeat my argument back to me.
Say it, it's true.
And then argue against that. I just want a good faith debate. Tell me my argument. Then tell me my argument.
I can talk as much as you want, okay? I'm just trying to lay
Tell
down-
me my argument, Destiny.
It sounds like your argument was it is impossible for a person to have one set of ethics and not condemn another person. in
No,
society
that's
for-
not my argument. My argument.
Hold on, shut,
Right.
hold on. I'm gonna leave. Alex, make him shut.
I'm going to leave. This is the part I was wanting y'all to see. I'm going to leave because I want you to let me say the wrong idea that I think you have. He just wants him to steel man it so he can say that's not my argument. You're arguing something that's not my idea. And his asshole is he's like so determined because he thinks he has a point. He's so determined to get that point that he thinks he should be able to just argue against this idea that Andrew doesn't have. Just got to sit there and let you steal, like got to let you straw man me right in front of me, huh? Just got to pretend. Lady, this is. I'm building my case here. This is evidence that he has an actual lady brain in a man's body. I guess a man's body. I didn't check.
Fuck up for 2 seconds.
Andrew Wilson causes a Destiny meltdown
Here's Vic.
live on air. Andrew Wilson causes a Destiny meltdown during a heated debate. Andrew Wilson and this other girl, Grace, were debating Destiny and this other girl, Erudite. And the girl, Erudite, argues that it's okay to have two conflicting moral systems, which Andrew Wilson correctly points out is ridiculous. And Destiny tries to step in and save the day, but he fails and completely loses it. which was absolutely beautiful to see. But why take my word for it? Just watch the clip for yourselves.
I think is going to add to this conversation. As Kyla or Destiny, they think Len the Plug's relationship with Adam 22 is an example of healthy or unhealthy on first glance.
They seem happy to me, but this is an extraordinary relationship. You're talking about two people that do pornography professionally and live their whole lives in the public eye. Like, that's a rough one. That relationship, that's always, even a perfectly monogamous Christian couple living that public a relationship is going to be really difficult. So I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know either of them well enough to say.
What about you, Kyle?
I think that's a pretty good interpretation. In general, would that be something I recommend for the average couple? No, but most couples aren't like famous podcasters who do porn professionally. So it's not something in general that would generalize well to the public. But yeah, I would say in general, if that was like a non-professional porn, that might be an issue. But
you don't feel though?
Now,
that,
Kyla,
like,
I gotta ask you.
oh, okay. Andrew.
Within your Christian ethics, is it okay that they do
my
public
Christian ethics,
pornography?
yes. Well, are they Christian?
I'm asking you if you think it's
are
ethical.
they Christian? Yeah, I'm asking you. I don't know. Maybe I don't know something about Adam and Eve.
I don't think so.
Oh, then I don't give a fuck what religious people do. I don't require them to follow my precepts.
Okay, so just so there's no
I try to follow the book.
So
Okay, so I think they're talking about Adam 22 and his wife.
They are.
Who make corn cinema together. Adam 22 has become a lolcow because of this, because he allows his wife to engage intimately with other men. So he's gotten
Especially in the butthole. They brag about that. Weird.
ripped into about that by other people, made fun of a lot by other people because of this. So I think this is what they're debating.
There's no criteria for you, or like, can you say that that's immoral?
Religious
Yeah, can you say that that's immoral or not?
Yeah, this is the problem.
No, it's not immoral.
Yeah.
Not for that, no.
Is anything immoral?
you,
Hang on,
what about
Kyla.
for
Is
you?
anything immoral?
I'm not.
Wait, I have a
Is anything immoral, Kyla? Shut up, Grace. I haven't talked at all. Kyla, is anything immoral? Anything? What? What is immoral? What?
Things that utilitarian-wise, everyone would agree are.
So your entire ethical system has nothing to do with Christianity. It has to do with secular utilitarian ethics.
You already admitted that God is a utilitarian, so you agree.
It's never happened.
You did.
Tell me when.
In this conversation.
When? You just made that up in your crazy brain.
It's all about extents and stretches, and that as things change over time, when it comes to
That this never occurred.
drug use, that is-
Literally
yeah,
never
drug
occurred.
use reflects and subjective.
You just made the whole thing up in your brain. I've never said anything about God being a utilitarian. That's one. Two, I want to ask you,
Tried it, of course.
are you saying that
And
you
you
don't
did. You
derive
did.
your morality from Christianity? You derive it from utilitarian ethics, secular ethics?
For society, for other people, for the most part, for myself, I believe that Christians committing sin is immoral. But if you're not a Christian,
Then you can't do any wrong?
Things. No. Do you want me to answer? Do you
Yes.
want me to keep building your name?
I do want you to answer,
Do you want
yes.
to listen? Okay.
I'm
Do you want
listening.
me to use my daddy voice for you too?
Yeah, use whatever voice you think that can answer the question.
The daddy voice. So the answer to the question
It's more
is-
butch.
Yes, it is more butch. That's true. Good job. Basically, what I said is that drugs are fine, sex is fine. In the case of society, I tend to use a utilitarian frame model because for Christians, there's a different code of ethics that they're required to live by than non-religious people. This is very standard in most religious practices. You don't put your religious predilections on other people. I'm not a fucking Muslim. I don't need to have a political system based out of my religion.
Fair enough. So from your perspective, though, as a Christian, is what they're doing immoral?
They're not Christian.
That's not my question. From your perspective as a Christian, following the ethics you do, you still know what's moral and immoral informed by your Christianity.
Yeah, I'm confused by that. So they're not Christian. So wouldn't make it immoral? Like, her morals shouldn't matter if they're Christian or not. Morals are just like your framework for what you think is good and not good, or what you think you should do, basically. So what would someone else's religion have to do with whether or not they should be doing something, whether she thinks it's moral or not? It either is or is not, and they are doing it or they are not doing it. So if they are and it is, then wouldn't they be? That's why I'm so confused by this.
Christianity is what they're doing immoral.
No, of course not.
It's not. It's not immoral that they're porn stars on the internet.
But it would be if she was doing it. Isn't that weird? That's trying to get into the female brain.
It's
What is
From a
immoral for
Christian?
Christians?
What the fuck?
For Christians,
I've never heard
it's
anything
immoral.
that insane literally in my whole life, ever.
Okay, as long as you say it loud
He
enough.
says that a
You wanna
lot.
say that you want to, Andrew?
I have one. That was the
Christian
stupidest
Hall
thing I've
people
ever
are
heard.
about it.
Man, these people that Andrew debates, like Andrew is a good debater, but these people, like, do they not realize how stupid they sound when they say these things? From a Christian perspective, making corn movies isn't immoral? Like, what the heck?
We did
If
the phone thing though of
an
debating
atheist
Andrew.
kills, if an atheist kills somebody, does that make
What?
it not immoral because they
It's
don't
not
believe
immoral
God?
from a Christian, from
No,
her
I would say
standpoint.
that atheists.
Yeah, if I don't believe in God, I can do whatever I want. That's basically what she's saying. So if it's not immoral to, let your wife get gangbanged on the internet, then I guess it's not immoral for anything. Then if I'm just don't go to church and I can get away with murder.
Killing people is immoral. I already said that there
From
are
what?
Okay, but
From-
they don't
be
believe in
broadly
the
moral and
Christian.
immoral.
Wait.
What are you talking
hold on.
about?
I
What?
will go down to
There
the
you go.
class. You guys can keep up. I believe in you. I do.
If y'all can keep up.
I have already explicitly said there are certain presets that I would say for Christians are different than for secular people. There are obviously things that secular people can do.
Which is
that
why
are
we're asking
immoral.
from your purview, from
Right?
your
My
ethical
purview.
system, from your from
My
not so
ethical
erudite's ethical system.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say that if you're not a Christian, I wouldn't say that you're doing something immoral by doing Christian sin because you're not a Christian.
So why is murder
Basically,
wrong?
Hug and Adam.
So why is murder wrong from a secular standpoint then, erudite?
Because, okay, if you want to go into utilitarianism, because in
Yeah.
a society where
Yes. Let's put on our shoes and do some gymnastics here. I want to see how she's gonna backflip into this.
murder is okay, it leads to harm for everyone. It seems to lead to a society that is worse if everyone thinks that murder is just.
And society's not worse if degenerates are showing their wives' buttholes getting blown out by, football teams. That doesn't make society worse. You think it makes it better? I'm just curious. Does it make it better to see that? I'll go watch some if it does.
A society is better and reduces harm when you prohibit murder and you punish it.
So you hold two separate ethical value structures, one for yourself and one for society. How do you know which one is wrong?
Depending on what that crime is, because if some of them, those are just bad, regardless of whether you are or not, and then some of them, like we don't know which ones. She hasn't specified, how bad it's got to be before everybody's got to follow it, even if they don't believe in whatever religion she needs them to believe in. This is wacky woman thinking. This is supposed to be for Destiny, so you're gonna get around to him in a minute. Just he's got a toy with erudite for a while. She's a pain in the ass no matter where she goes.
Because Gentiles don't have to appeal to Christian morals.
Okay, I'm not asking what Gentiles must do. I'm asking you as a Christian, how do you know Gentiles are incorrect and immoral if they're doing these things? How do you know that? What would inform you?
Wouldn't it be like a cheat code just to not go to church? Now you can never be immoral? Everything I do is moral now because I didn't go to church this week.
What would inform? Why would
Now
would
we get
you?
into meta ethics.
And why would utilitarianism? Why would utilitarianism be correct?
Sure, we can get into the fundamental axiom. My fundamental axiom.
You can't hold two contrary sets of beliefs. That's insane.
They aren't contrary sets.
They
of
are
beliefs.
contrary
They
sets of
solely
beliefs.
represent each other. They're not contrary. I understand that you can't keep up and comprehend this, but they are not complementary.
Does
In
utilitarian?
the case-
If they're not contrary, then
in
answer
the
this
case of
question.
religious
Answer this
people-
question if they're not contrary. From
No,
a
actually,
utilitarian
I'm going to continue
standpoint,
answering the previous question,
from
not
util-
just throw
utilitarian
everything out
standpoint,
questions.
from
I will
util-
just keep talking.
I just want to finish this
until-
point and I'll let you
I will
talk.
just keep talking. I'm not going to.
I
because
just
don't
want you to
wanna
answer
your
one
previous
question and then I'll let you
No,
talk as
I'm
much
going
as you
to
want.
answer your previous
Okay,
question.
fine. I
Then
won't
you
forget.
ask for sure.
I'm not going to forget, but go ahead. I won't forget.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My Christian ethics
Mhm.
are over my national contractual ethics for myself. However, part of my Christian ethics personally is to not hold secular people to my Christian ethics because they are not Christian.
No one's asking you to hold them to them. You're not gonna get in there and separate them. Like I gotta get apart. I'm Christian. No one asked for that. But you can still say it is either moral or not moral. That's all he's asking you, and you can't figure that out.
So if society imposed some sort of demand on me that was against my Christian ethics, I would disobey society. If society made it a law that I had to do something that I thought was heretical to my faith, I would disobey society. Do you understand?
So let me ask you. Okay, got it.
So if she thought it was good to commit murder and society said no, she would do it anyway. That's what she just said.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Can secular ethics and your ethics at the same exact time, if secular ethics claims that pornography is moral and your ethics claim that pornography is immoral, are those compatible ethical systems?
I don't. First of all, you're assuming a bunch about my claims about ethics around pornography.
Just answer my question.
Well, I can't answer your
You
question.
can't answer it
Because you can't understand it. You can't answer a question you can't understand. And she does not understand that. Her lady brain is on the fritz. Let's get to Destiny's lady brain.
You know what the
No, hold
answer
on,
is.
hold on. I'm not letting you do this.
Answer the
Yes, you
fucking
are.
I can't
question.
answer it. No, the reason I can't.
If you're enjoying so far, smash that like button. Sound off
You know I am, Vic. Go subscribe to Vic. Like and subscribe his video.
in the comments below with your thoughts so far. I love it when Andrew backs these people into a corner with a question that they know they can't answer. So they don't answer because they know they can't.
Answer this question specifically, Andrew, is because you're doing what you always do in every debate.
Yeah,
You're
winning.
doing Bad faith.
Winning.
You're begging the
Yeah,
question.
everybody who
And
wins
adding
debates, bad faith. I
Are
know.
you going to let me talk, Andrew? Or you're just going to keep
Answer the
I'm
question.
winning until
Wait,
people
stop.
believe it.
Let's let Kyla finish and then you.
Unbelievable.
These two things are compatible because it is fine for me, for thee, and not for me. That is compatible. Different people can have different ethical systems within utilitarian. They can have different things that are okay and not okay and still work within my framework. I would say it is okay for thee, but not for me. For example, one thing that's not okay for me is like watching a whole bunch of like true crime and shit like that because it makes me super distrustful of other people. I would say in
But
general.
you're talking
it's
about
a-
preference,
Wait,
not
wait, wait,
morality.
wait, no. Let her finish, and then it's Andrew's turn to respond, and then shoot. Okay, go ahead.
In the case of all sorts of stuff, as you would probably agree, even you said it here. You already said this, Andrew. You said in the case of, for example, Christians, you can chain smoke because it doesn't make you go crazy. But if you had a psychotic break and it led you doing a whole bunch of bad stuff, that would be bad for them. So that's you saying, oh, it's fine for me, but not for thee in this case. I'm just doing the inverse of saying there are some things that I think are fine for other people that are not okay for me. That's all.
So a couple doing corn is fine for other people? No, it is clearly not fine for other people. It is not healthy to do. It is not something that's good to do.
Oh,
together.
now I'm going to ask you this question again. Only one set of these moral preferences can be true. Only one of them can be true. So are your Christian ethics true, or are utilitarianism, if utilitarianism conflicts with your Christian ethics, knowing only one can be true by the laws of logic, which one's true?
I reject your premise. And
What?
the way that you
Well, okay.
I reject the laws of logic. That's some woman arguing there. I've seen women do this. I've got into an argument, and I'm telling you, I remember the girl, and all I wanted to know is, what do you fucking want for dinner? And she used a similar argument here, where she disregarded the laws of logic and told me I should know by now.
Okay, then to show me the contradiction from which you reject my premise.
You're begging the question by again saying
There's
that
no
you
question
Christians-
begging.
Your
No.
question that you're begging is saying
That's
how
not
do you
question
make
begging, you
contradiction?
idiot.
She doesn't know what that
Yes, it
means.
is.
Well, tell me what
Yes,
question
it
begging is. You don't even know. Tell me what it is.
Tell me.
Let him.
You tell me. You used it. You tell him. You tell me.
Let's let her
Oh, I
respond.
tell you what it is. You accused me of it. Tell me what it is. Tell me what question begging is. Tell me what it
You wanna
is.
just-
Wait, just let her respond. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
she's not going to answer that question either. Tell me what it is.
Bro, you do
You're not
this
gonna
thing
do it.
in every fucking
Not
debate.
gonna do
You
it.
ask 60,000 questions.
Now, when this was happening, Andrew had already put out his course on debates. It's like 500 hours worth of debate, like information, where he talks about begging the question. He talks about all the fallacies and all that kind of stuff. I am the valedictorian. It's not up here today, but I'm the valedictorian of this university. So I know. And this idiot will try to pretend like, you tell me then, teacher. You tell me. That doesn't work whenever you're taking a test here. You are failing.
You pivot and weasel away from
No, I
answers.
just asked you
Notice how
straight questions you
weasel
won't
away-
answer.
Notice how you weasel away from the conversation about
Happy to have that conversation too, but you accused me of
You
question
asked
begging.
90 Are you going to let me answer?
You
Or keep
accused me.
interrupting me and building your narrative. Are you going to keep interrupting
You
me?
can't accuse me of a fallacy, then not tell me the fallacy.
relationship.
Tell me the fallacy.
Okay, guys, go ahead.
Okay. Can I take a stab at this? Okay. You can
Gremlin to the rescue.
absolutely hold two different quote unquote set of ethics. You're not holding contrary sets of ethics, though. What you can understand is you can have a system of morals that stands in contradiction to the law. For instance, a Catholic might believe that it's immoral to consume pornography, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a Catholic would prescribe that it changes the law in the country that they're in, right? In a way, you could read this as like render unto Caesar. What? Hold on, no, it doesn't seem to be the argument because you're conflating the law and morality.
Seem to be
So you
because
ask
it's not.
somebody, when you ask somebody, do you consider it a sin when somebody does something else? Generally, what is or isn't it?
Okay. Unaliving children is legal in a lot of states. And my morals say that that's bad. Does that mean that it's now a part of my morals because it's legal? No, it is still against my morals, regardless if they follow those same morals that I have. Because to me, morals are your subjective opinion of other people's behavior as well. Like if you see somebody else doing something that you feel is immoral, then yeah, you could say that. Why is this such a hard question? I don't even know why this debate is like this. It seems like they're like arguing over like a real finite point here. Like this is wild. But yeah, you can't like just because that practice is legal does not mean that your morals say now it's good. That's not how that works. So I don't know what Destiny is trying to say here.
A sin is something that you're concerned with, and you're concerned with other people in your faith. Personally, I've never been in the business of, or seen other Christians at least, maybe for Muslims it's different, maybe for Jews it's different, maybe for other people it's different, is trying to evaluate. I had never in my life, I took 4 years of fucking Catholic high school, 8 years of Catholic grade school. Never once did we have a class we went through, what do Muslims do that's sinful? What do Jewish people do that's sinful?
So if you don't have a class on it, then you can't ask the question. I never had a class on are those natural or not, but I ask it all the time.
We've never done that before. We're concerned with what are sins in our society, the Christian church, the Catholic Church specifically. What does the Catechism say? What does your preacher say?
Okay,
And
that's
where it
great.
starts
But repeat
about.
my argument
Hold
back
on,
to
hold
me.
on. Hold on.
You're arguing against a straw man.
No. You've traveled like 20,000.
Traveled.
I haven't traveled anywhere. Repeat my argument back to me.
Say it, it's true.
And then argue against that. I just want.
Yeah, he just wants you to argue against what I'm actually saying, and they're incapable. They Sperg out. I think this is the one. I'm positive now because I just see that in the beginning. This is where he threatens to quit and run off the show. They do that. That's what women do too. They do it all the time on whatever. At least once a week, some fat heifer is going to jump up and say, "If you don't stop, I'm going to leave." Good, I win then. Bye bye. I don't even understand. You think running away makes people think you won? I don't think so.
Want a good faith debate. Tell me my argument. Then tell me my argument.
I can talk just as much as you want, okay? I'm just trying to lay
Tell
down.
me my argument, Destiny.
That's what this is a talking competition. I can talk as much as you too. Yeah, but your words don't make any sense. His does.
It sounds like your argument was it is impossible for a person to have one set of ethics and not condemn another person. In
No,
society
that's
for
not my
acting
argument.
like
My
Hold
argument.
on,
Right.
hold on. I'm gonna leave. Alex, make him shut the fuck up for 2 seconds.
After only a minute with going back and forth with Destiny, Destiny is already spurging out, and it's great to see. I love it. This is already one of my favorite debates because I always love to see a good Destiny spurg out because F Destiny.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
or else he's
Let me
gonna
finish.
run.
Okay, this was your argument, unless you're having an episode, in which case go get some antipsychotics. Your argument, because your questions to Kyla were, how can you believe that this thing is okay in society, but you personally don't believe it? It seems to be a contradiction that you're saying society
not my
can have one set of ethics. Shut the fuck up, you retarded.
Then
fuck.
fucking tell me my argument, you dumb blue-haired gremlin. What are you gonna do, run? What are you gonna do, run?
I'm gonna mute all of you guys. Okay, let's just go one at a time. Let's let
I love when people threat on video, threaten something. Oh, we're gonna leave. Oh no, run away. You gonna beat me up? Want to jump through the camera? Go for it.
Destiny finish this point, then you can respond to it, Andrew.
Keep Andrew muted because he cannot
I
stop.
mean,
doing
jeez,
it.
Yes, in a debate, keep him muted so I can win.
I can't even finish a single fucking statement.
They think they're on TikTok. They got a mute button.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Andrew's line of
So
questioning was trying to
stupid.
expose that Kyla had an inability to condemn anybody for sin because it seemed like she held the double standard that society could have one set of ethics and she can have a personal one, which is why Andrew was asking questions like, oh, well, do you think that this lifestyle is sinful? And then Kyla would say, well, no, I don't think so for me. Well, what about for other people? I don't judge Christians. That's why he went down the line of questioning of, is murder wrong? Is anything wrong? Because it seems like under your current system, whatever you do, you're unable to fundamentally say any particular action is wrong. And then Kyla tried to say something about utilitarianism, and he said, well, how do you hold contrary sets of ethics? That was what the entire argument was. In my opinion, I think the reason why you're running into such a difficult to answer question here is because you're conflating what is the law or what is legally permissible with what is
No one's conflating that except you. You brought up the law with your little analogy here that you can have something that you think is legal, but if it's not legal in the law, you did that, not us. No one brought up the law but you.
Ethical. No, the Andrew's going to say, no, I was talking about.
He said moral. Is it moral? He didn't say legal. I'm sure it's legal.
Ethics the whole time, but that's not truly what we're talking about, because the
Yes, it
idea,
is.
just now, this is where I go to my personal opinion. The idea that as a Christian,
He's going
you
to
could
speed talk,
condemn
but I'm
somebody
not going to let him
else
get off the
for not
hook.
following your Christian ethics. That's just a
He can
very
Sperg
bizarre
talk all he
statement.
wants,
In my
but
personal
watch.
opinion,
One
from
question.
how I learned Christianity or Catholicism, usually when you're criticizing other people's
This diversion
inability
doesn't
to hold
work
to the
with
Ten
me.
Commandments, the
I've seen
Beatitudes,
this like
whatever
100
set of ethics we're
times.
talking about in terms of Christianity,
100
you're saying
times.
things like
I'm
God
gonna
commands
pin him
us to
down
do this,
right away.
God commands you to do that. These are the Beatitudes, these are the commandments, these are what the priest says, blah, 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 blah. So you're usually compelling somebody within a faith. So it's a very difficult question to ask from a religious point of view, is how do you condemn somebody else's morals that is outside of your faith? All you can do at that point is appeal to the law. And your ethics probably
Appeal
don't
to
have
the
to
law?
be exactly matching with what the law is.
Did anyone say to go bust down the door and stop Adam 22 from letting his wife get her butt cheek spread by some big black dude? No one has fucking said that. He said, is it immoral? That's all. From your perspective, the little floozy in the top right, he said, is it moral from your worldview? And that's all he asked. And they can't understand. This is all growing from that. And he's bringing law into it, like he's trying to get him arrested or something. He just said, is it moral?
For example, in the case of smoking cigarettes or pornography. That's my thing.
Okay, great. Now, to address my argument was really simple. I asked Kyla a simple question. I asked you the same thing.
What just happened?
So hang on, right? Because Alex muted me again. But that wasn't my question. It wasn't my argument, which is why I asked you in good faith to repeat my argument back to me. That way we could have a productive conversation. But what I asked specifically is, can you hold two different sets of moral values, and both of them can be true at the same exact time if they conflict with each other? Meaning, if Kyla's
stated what I just
stop, because you didn't answer this question. You didn't answer. You spurred and talked a lot, but you actually didn't answer this question. The question is, if one conflicting moral value structure says that it's okay to murder and another one does not, and you're a Christian, say it's not okay to murder, and you're, let's say, a utilitarian who does, only one of those can be true. Yes or no, Destiny?
Yes.
Yes.
The problem,
Thank you.
There you go.
The problem was you're not holding, when we talk about murder, right? We're not really interested
That's it.
societally in the moral
That's the
condemnation
debate.
of murder. What we're really
Didn't this start off from like some dude letting other dudes fuck his wife? They brought it to murder somehow.
looking for is what is
That's
the
the
law.
debate.
Christians don't compel people to not murder necessarily, societally speaking, another person,
Yes,
because
they
it's
do.
what God commands.
Yes,
you
they
say
do.
it's because
They do
this
it all
is
the time.
illegal. When we're talking about what the law is going to be different than your particular moral thing. Now, there's going to be a lot in Christianity where your morals actually map onto the law. Your morals in Christianity are going to map onto things that are very similar to the law. For instance,
Yeah, so
don't
it could be
steal,
overlap. I agree.
Don't steal.
Yeah,
don't
there can be
steal,
overlap. Yeah.
Don't steal and don't kill. Those
Yeah.
are two things. However, it's also a Christian commandment not to be adulterous. That's actually not something that's illegal in the United States.
That's right.
Now, just because it's not illegal in the U.S. and just because it is illegal in the Christian world, is that a conflicting set of morals or ethics?
Yes.
No.
How is it not? Tell me how it's not.
Because in society, what we're talking about...
In what world is it not a conflict?
I don't.
So is Destiny trying to say that you can sometimes cheat and sometimes you can't? Is that it? Either is or it is not. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And if you're moral, you say no, that is against my morals, which supersede whatever the law says you can do. It doesn't say you have to cheat, does it? So I don't understand the point here.
I know, I can't.
Well,
do
you're-
it. He's not
No,
interested
you
in-
can, and I am. I've been more good faith in this debate than either of you.
I'm gonna go out drinking tonight. I need some friends here.
All right. Well, yeah, I know. No, answer my question, Destiny. How's it not a conflict?
I just told you, because what you're analyzing societally is the law. We don't have a societal set of ethics that we compel people to follow using some kind of like third-party punishment. We don't do that.
That
We
still
have the
wouldn't.
law.
That still wouldn't mean that there's no performative
That still wouldn't mean they're not conflicting. They're still conflicting. One is telling you it's okay and one is telling you it's not. That is a conflict. Like, that's what cognitive dissonance starts like burning in your head a little bit. That's what that is.
Stop.
You've already said this.
Stop,
You've already
Erudite.
agreed to this. You've already agreed to
Stop,
this.
Erudite. I know you want to Sperg, but here's the thing. That really has nothing to do with whether or not these are contradictory or contradictions to each other. The ethical systems. whether or not secularism legalizes X behavior and Christians don't believe it, only one of those systems can be true. So when I ask you, if you're a Christian, do you follow Christian ethics? And you say yes, this means that you follow this format for an ethical system based on your religion. What secularists believe is going to necessarily, if it conflicts with that, be immoral. Tell me how that's not true.
Because a secular society the society itself is not generally in the business. The state is not in the business of determining what is moral or immoral.
That's the
It's
truth.
determining legality. The state is agnostic on the truth. It doesn't make
Why is prostitution illegal then?
a statement about the truth there.
That has nothing to do with anything, Destiny. It doesn't matter if the state's against it.
Wait. You didn't respond to what I said. You just said
Because it's irrelevant. It's erroneous. It doesn't mean anything. It has nothing to do with my question.
Your question is irrelevant. You're asking.
How's my question irrelevant? It's the only question.
You're trying to ask. You're trying to pretend that there are two conflicting set of ethics. The reason
There
why
are.
you're confused is because
There always.
there's not. There's a set of ethics, and then there's the law. These things will conflict sometimes.
But
So there's a conflict, right? You just said it. Now watch you forget it and then say it didn't happen. No conflict.
The law is a reflection
But hang on,
of
but
ethics.
Destiny,
It's a reflection
Grace, let me
of
finish.
society's
Grace,
ethics.
Grace, let me finish.
please
But
say it.
Destiny, you said only
That's what
one.
it's based on.
Grace, shut up. You said only one can be true. That's what you. Yeah, no, you said that, Destiny.
I said if there are two conflicting sets of ethics, generally one can be true.
Only
But
one
in
can be
society, It's not a set of
Or else you get to do both, I guess. You get to cheat on your wife and not cheat on your wife at the same fucking time.
ethics. It's the law.
No, it's not just the law. Law doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with ethics.
I'm sorry. In society, where does the government tell me? Where are my list of things that are moral or immoral in the United States of America?
They actually do. They draw on this very heavily, especially from the Bible, which the axiomatic for the entire United States Constitution.
I'm going to restate the same question. Go ahead.
Okay, well, the entire axiomatic principle of the United States Constitution is that all men are created equal. That is, well, the Declaration of Independence, right? That's axiomatic. So the thing is that if you're gonna state these things and you're gonna say, hey, listen, if you have two conflicting sets of values, they can both have overlap. I would agree, but only one can be true is my point. And so if only one is true and you're a Christian, how can you follow the other one and say it's not immoral? That makes no sense, bro.
Okay, I'm restating the question. Where do I find my set of ethics from the United States government?
The Declaration of Independence.
No, that's not where. No, Grace. No, Grace.
No. That's where.
You just ruined it, Grace. You just ruined it.
That's where we get our ethics from. We hold.
So all this to defend
That was your fault, Andrew. You let a girl on your team. Just saying.
why it's okay for a couple to do corn together. That's all this was about, and how hypocritical it is that that girl, erudite or whatever, says that, oh yeah, listen, it's immoral for me as a Christian, but not immoral for them because they're secular or what have you. And so then Andrew is saying, well, wait a minute, but in your purview,
All this was just a big confusion here. What she really was trying to say is it's not immoral to them. It's still immoral from her perspective, though. But that's why this whole long debate where they argued like this was all because women trying to nitpick. All you had to do is say, look, from my perspective, I would think that's immoral if that were me doing it, but they're doing it. They're not Christian. So from their perspective, they don't find it to be immoral. I do. But she can't see that she does. She doesn't want to cast that judgment. She doesn't want to say, oh, it's immoral for you to do that. But from her perspective, it should be. Otherwise, she'd be cheating on her husband, which she probably, I mean, I ain't gonna say she does, but she hangs out with Destiny. And I'm not gonna say anymore.
is what they're doing immoral then? So then Andrew's like, well, listen, you're holding two sets of conflicting values because you're holding the Christian values that say it's immoral, and then the secular ones that say, but pretty much it's not immoral. So you're holding two conflicting views, and she doesn't do that with it when it comes to unaliving people, when it comes to stealing. Like, oh, that's pretty set. But when it comes,
No, Vic, those were exemptions she had in her head. I don't know if you were watching that part. She has like exemptions in her head, so some things apply and other things don't. Murder's one that does, so yeah, she has an exemption for that one, just so you know. We're getting in the mind of women here, Vic, so I don't think we're ever gonna understand.
to corn, oh, well, that's immoral to me, but not for thee. Like all these people that Andrew debates with, it's like they don't realize that how indoctrinated by society and brainwashed they are by society. Like there's another debate I saw that I want to cover, and it's like you see like when he asks them these questions about Like, well, why is it okay for this then? Well, why is it not okay for that then? And it's like they can't really articulate it. They just know it's wrong. Like when he brings up the how do you say, doing the horizontal mambo with an unalive person, you know, like they know it's wrong, but they don't know why it's wrong. They just know they've been taught that it's wrong. But meanwhile, let's say doing, you know, if you're a married couple and you're doing corn together, well, that's not wrong. Like it's wrong to me as a Christian, but you know what? If that's what they want to do, I'm not going to yuck their yum. And it's like, well, why though? And they don't really know. They don't know. They just know that society says that they have the freedom to do so, and therefore it's okay. And so I like it when Andrew like presses these people and actually makes people like think about why, like presses these people and exposes why, you know, I know me as a viewer, it gets me to really rethink a lot of the things that I deem okay or deem not okay. And I think Andrew does a really good job of arguing these points. What do you think about how Andrew did today? And did you enjoy seeing Destiny Sperg and flip out? Because I know I did. Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, if you like seeing Andrew Wilson dominate in debates, I have a whole playlist for you on the screen that you can binge on, as well as a whole bunch of other content that I think you'll enjoy.
Woke liberals realizing that Donald
Let me stop it there. This is for next week. This is Levi Nix. I'll be getting him very soon. I didn't know it did that. Let me see, do it this way.
What do Muslims do that's sinful? What do Jewish people do that's sinful? We've never done that before. We're concerned with what are sins in our society, the Christian church, the Catholic Church specifically.
There we go. I was going to see if anybody's on live stream and we could do some raids, but that's from 8 months ago. Vic's not loud. Benny Johnson would not even notice if I raided, neither would Steven Crowder. So I guess we're done for today. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. I've been trying to find videos, but this whole, when I got suspended, it messed my whole algorithm up too, because I'm not even seeing the good stuff to find. So I'm gonna have to go start watching a bunch of like liberals and Zionists and shit and find some idiots to react to. I had some good stuff in my downloads too. I'm just not gonna be able to get to it. But I do have some stuff coming up, so I will get around to that tomorrow. And a new dating horror story coming out probably next week. So look for that. And that'll be it. Peace.